More abundant, more love, more joy, everything.
It's inspired young people.
Inspiration comes from within you. When you clear out the garbage that's in your mind, you then create space for something better, more beautiful to come in.
Let's have life and have it more abundantly.
I say yes.
It's like taking a workshop. I get to be in my pajamas.
We have a very active imagination, which is why it's important to learn how to harness it and then point it in the direction you want to go.
I listen to your show every day.
It's time now for Living Your Inspired Life with Susan Burrell. Susan is no-nonsense, inspirational, motivational, and fun.
This is positive talk radio.
Practical wisdom for everyday life.
It's a gift you give yourself.
Now, here's Susan.
And welcome to Living Your Inspired Life. I'm Susan Burrell, and we are always about inspiration, about giving you source material, bringing on guests and authors and meditations or whatever it is that gives you some tools and skill sets so that you can truly live the life you were born to live. And if you miss anything during any of our shows, go to livingyourinspiredlife.org so you can tune in, tune up, and develop your power perspective. So today I had this lovely book sent to me. The title caught my attention immediately, and I knew I had to have the author on. So I want to welcome the author of A Year Without Fear, Tama Kieves. Tama, thanks for joining me.
I am so glad to be here. I got excited just listening to the commercial.
Well, I have to tell you, this book that you've written, A Year Without Fear, just the title alone, I would keep, walking by it when it was on my table, and I'm like, darn, I was going to say a different word, but darn, that I want a year without fear. And then as I do with books, I just picked it up one day and opened it to whatever it opened up to. And it opened up to, and I'm going to read this because I was looking at taking some new steps in my life, and it opened up to May 13th, which is my son's birthday. So no mistake.
Wow.
I definitely went, okay, I have to pay attention to this. And this is what's in the book. There is no risk-free life. You only get to choose which risk you'll take. I say bet on the sure thing, bet on love. Spend your life on the road that makes you stronger. Going after things you want, whether or not you get them, makes you stronger. Yeah, baby, take that in. And then the affirmation is, today I'm going after the things I want, whether or not I get them. That's when I went, I gotta talk to you. Got to talk to you, Tama. So tell me why you wrote this book, and and let's describe to the listeners what the practice is of it, because I think it's just so smart what you did.
Well, I guess first maybe I'll just go into my background just a little bit, because I had such a major career life transformation shift myself, and that's what caused me to start coaching, and then I can just tell you a little bit about the book. So I think like so many people, I just had this feeling that there had to be something more in life. You're just going through every day and you feel like got to be something else, and I knew when I was younger that what I wanted to do, I'd always wanted to be a writer. That's really what I always dreamed of. But I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, to an Orthodox Jewish family.
Oy.
And, if you said, oi is right.
Yeah.
And if you said you wanted to write, it was like saying you wanted to take heroin or something, just, it was not kosher. So, my mother said something like, you're going to write, you're going to starve. And so I ignored that dream, and I went off to law school, and I got accepted to Harvard Law School, and I graduated with honors from Harvard Law School, and then I was on partnership track in a law firm, and I was just so unhappy. I was just so disconnected because I was doing what everyone else told me would be successful in my life, everything else that, be practical, be safe, be reasonable, and I'd follow that plan. And I was so unhappy every single day practicing and feeling like, I think there's something more in life. I believe there's something else. And thank God a friend of mine said something amazing. He said, think about it. If you've been this successful doing something you don't even love, what could you do with what you love?
Oh, my gosh, I can feel that. Wow. That's a good friend.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
I love that. Actually, that quote was so wonderful. It became the basis of my first book, which is This Time I Dance: Creating the Work You Love, and I just based the whole book on that. And so, but that was what triggered everything. And I decided, you know what, you get one life in this lifetime. I want to know where this goes. So I walked out of everything. And so that's how I began my whole career journey, and, I ended up writing the books I'd always dreamed of, and teaching and coaching and all that stuff. So A Year Without Fear, what I really, really wanted to do, because it's a daily reader, it's like it's 5-minute mindset shifts, is that as a coach, what I see is so many people ask me about, I want to change my life, especially at this time of year, in January,
Right.
We're all setting intentions, and everybody wants to have a major transformation, or finally figure out their lives, or leave their marriage, or find the romantic partner of their dreams, or find their calling. And what I've seen as a coach is it isn't something that happens in these 8 easy steps, or they're not like one big thing you do. It's my work is so much about transforming the way that you think, shift by shift, moment by moment. And they're small but consistent changes in how you think and the opportunities you give yourself. And so that's why I wanted to write a book that every single day would plant a new intention or a new thought or shift, so that you start listening to that inspired, genius, amazing voice that's inside you and letting it guide you somewhere. Because what I learned in my own life, and that I think the main message I wanted to get out across, was that many of us are living lives of fear. We're living lives of constraint. And unfortunately, we're calling it practicality. We're
Right.
calling it good judgment. We think we're being reasonable.
Or reality.
And
This is just the way life is.
exactly. This is just what it is. This is what the statistics say. This is what the media says, blah, blah, blah. And I wanted to plant that idea in you every single day, that that's not true. It is not practical. It is not reasonable to hold back what you really want, who you really are, what really beats within you. And so I wanted to make love practical. I wanted to make your excitement practical. I wanted to make your inspiration practical. So that's what started it.
Well, and the thing about A Year Without Fear is it's a daily, like you said, 5-minute mind shift, which I love that phrase, shifting your mind, changing the way you think. And you can do it daily. And it only takes just to sit and contemplate for 5 minutes the daily message, if you will, of what you've written is fabulous. I want to read what today's day is, because that one caught me too. I was like, all right, this is so perfect. So this is for today. And I want to talk about this, Tama, because I believe this. You wrote, the old ways are falling apart. Some call it an evolution of consciousness. We are the ones who are discovering our sacred resources and responses and bringing them to the table. We are the ones who launch new enterprises, discover new ways to feed more people, fight for justice, or sing praises to the divine, even as the stock market rumbles or the media sings a litany of warnings. We do not ignore reality, nor do we limit ourselves to the dim projections of fear. We are learning how to recognize and utilize the magnificence within that is never threatened or taken away. And the affirmation, today I open to the magnificence within me that empowers me with startling new resources. I got to say yes to that, Tama. Yes to that. And I think the idea of the old ways are falling away is so true. We're in this whole new paradigm that we as individuals on the planet get to define now. It's not that the old ways defined us, but now we get to define the new way of being in the world.
That's beautiful. And that's absolutely true. And I think that those of us who embrace that and run with that and use that will thrive. And when we fight it, as we all do, it's painful. And so, especially in businesses and in the economy and in the workplace, we are seeing such rapid change. We are seeing so many changes of the way things are happening now and what's going on. And, it could be frightening, but it's also exciting because I believe, like that passage said, that each of us has new resources to bring to the table. We have visions, we have dreams, we have meaning. You can't do the old thing. Like a lot of times people just said, I don't love this job, but, it pays the bills, I'll just stay here, blah, blah, blah. Nowadays, you can't even do that, like a lot of times things are rumbling and you do have to shift or you do have to do more. And so it's going to make you use what's inside you. It's going to make you start getting conscious about, wow, what do I really want for my life? Who do I really want to be? And to the point that you made about the paradigm shift, I have something I teach my coaching clients all the time, which is, you didn't come here to make it in the world. You didn't come here to make it in the world. You came here to remake the world.
Yes.
We came here to remake the world with the potential in us. Because each of us, somebody wants to sing, and somebody wants to start a yoga studio, and somebody wants to be a coach, and somebody wants to speak, and somebody wants to start a nutrition business. And we all have gifts to bring to the table. And we came here to not limit ourselves to what the world tells us is possible or statistics or the media. We want to tell the world what's possible. We want to bring out the unlimited in us and tell the world what's possible. I think each of us can be that.
I totally agree with you. I think that some of the clients that I'm working with, just in this new year, there is a redefinition again of who am I now and what is it I want to do and what is truly calling me to be more of. And I was just working with somebody over the weekend, and the space of open possibility for people sometimes becomes overwhelming. And it's not so much the fear of leaving what you know, but it's also that place of open-ended, that infinite field of possibilities where I have got so many possibilities. What do I choose? And what if I choose the one that isn't going to be the one? You know what I mean? And so that's also a place where the fear kind of makes us stuck.
Absolutely. And people get paralyzed with that. And, if you're walking into uncharted territory like that, where you feel like, but I don't know what I would do, or there's freedom can be overwhelming, of just, and like you said, I have so many choices. Because I do career coaching for a living, and that question comes up every time. For me, you don't have so many choices. The mind has many, many choices. The mind loves to window shop. I could do this, I could do that, blah, blah, blah. But the soul, your heart, really doesn't, And so a lot of times, a lot of the choices are from our minds, and I think that if you practice it, and it seems like, oh my God, there's so much, and I won't know what to do, but I guess what I would want to reassure people to know is that there's already a plan inside you. There's already an answer inside you. This isn't something you're making up. This isn't something you're figuring out. This is something you're letting out, And so it's learning. So much of this work for me, anyway, was learning, how do I love myself, and how do I trust myself, and how do I listen to myself instead of the fears and instead of the junk and my linear, crazy, ambitious mind that's like, okay, figure it out right now, you know, of how do you learn the ways of trust, which, again, that's what A Year Without Fear is for me, is that I wanted to give people just 5 minutes every morning, every day, of just another way in, just another way to think about it, another way to experience it, or just to, because I can't coach everybody, and I just wanted to be like your little morning coach, to just give you a conversation, something to shift, or something to bring into your coach, or something to journal with, or to meditate with. Or I have people telling me now that they're reading it in the morning before their run or before their morning walk, and they take it with them, which I think is phenomenal.
Well, and that's awesome, because then it downloads when you're moving your body. It downloads into your cellular being, But let's go back. I want to tap on what you were saying about how do we address the fear. I mean, can you give us a little bit of the how, besides just, in my experience, I've come to learn in aged wisdom that, if I'm afraid of something, that's the thing I got to look at. And probably I got to walk through that door of fear to get past it instead of letting it just stand there blocking my way. So how do you, when you're coaching people, how do you encourage them to move through their fear?
So there's a million different things. So when I was writing A Year Without Fear, what I wanted to focus on was that I finally realized for me that the way out of fear, to get out of fear, I needed to get into love. That if I was focusing on my fear and talking about my fear and thinking about my fear, I just created more fear. That whole thing of what you focus on grows. And so my mind is crazy and rabid and fast. And, if it gets on a track of, and this could happen and that could happen, and my God, you have cellulite. I mean, it just all goes downhill very fast. And so, but I've learned that if I use my mind to focus on love, and by love, I don't always mean romantic love, but maybe like doing something you love, doing something you're passionate about, doing something you care about, or a lot of the work is also about expressing love to someone else. There's a lot of daily shifts in A Year Without Fear that talk about, being that resource for love for someone else. So, that day you're focusing on being this ambassador of love, or you're focused on the love that comes through you, comes to you. So again, a lot of the shifts in there are just really focusing on how do I get you to focus on what you love. So a lot of it is talking about, what's your wildest desire, or, thinking about a time when you were really alive and successful and feeling that, and, and bringing that energy and intention into the day, so that every day is just getting your mind programmed to think a different way, so that you're not going into the autopilot of the natural negative criticism, self-judgment junk that we all have, So I'm just trying to change that inner voice in you.
Yeah, and I have I'm sure you've heard this, but I'm going to say it again. I have an anachronism for fear, which is false evidence appearing real. And when I remind myself of that, when I'm scared to do something, like call the person and make the phone call that I really just don't want to do, when I remind myself that I'm experiencing fear from a place of my mind thinking that whatever is happening over there is real. And when I can remind myself of that, then it's easier for me to open up the possibility within my heart to be greater love and to allow whatever's happening over there to have its place. But I can open up more love within me, and it does diminish the scariness of whatever the situation is.
Absolutely. So I think, along that exact same line, for me, a lot of what I do and so much of my work is about just being more compassionate with myself.
That's a big one.
Really compassionate and accepting, because if you are going for your dreams, or you're listening to your inner voice or guidance or inspired self or whatever you call it, it's going to take you past your comfort zone. It's going to take you on the edge. I just recently did a very big speaking engagement that I was really excited to do, but of course I was really scared too, And so before I left, it was really very beautiful. Before I left to do the speaking engagement, because I have a very harsh inner voice, if left to its, my fear can be very negative and cruel, and one of the things that I've learned to do for myself in that self-compassion is to start being my own coach or advocating myself. So before I left for this speaking engagement, I looked in the mirror and I just told her, I don't care what happens. I don't care what happens on that stage. I am so proud of you for even trying this. I know this is scary, and I am so proud of you for doing this. So for me, I've really had to learn how to have that kind of self-compassion. And the other thing about getting beyond the fear, because you had asked that great question, is sometimes for me it helps me to think about, because when I'm in my fear, I'm thinking about how I'm going to fail, how I'm going to look stupid, how it's not going to work, how I'm going to goof up, how this, how that. I sometimes just finally start asking my self, well, what if it works? What's the upside of this? Wouldn't it be great to connect with people? Wouldn't it be great to get your message into the world? Wouldn't it be great if it was fun and easy? And, just so many times we are all paralyzed I have one of my coaching clients was going to put out a video like for her business or something, and she was really embarrassed because the video didn't come out well. Like it came out dark, and it wasn't right lighting and stuff, and so she wasn't going to send it out to her community. And I was, we talked about it because she was like, I don't want to send it out. It looks bad. It doesn't look good. They're not going to like it, whatever. But she's a pianist. That's what she does, and the video was her playing a piano. And so we were talking about it, and we were saying, they're probably not interested in you because of how a video looks. They're probably interested in you because of how it sounds, the piano playing. So anyway, she sent it out. It was phenomenal. People loved connecting with her live, and they loved even the authenticity of the video was home shot or whatever. And I always think of that story because our negative fears have us hold back. Like, oh, God, this is going to be terrible. People won't love it. So we don't do it. And she had the courage to just say, you know what, I want to connect with my people at any level I can. And she sent it out, and it was phenomenal for her. And it, people wrote in and loved her, and it helped. So again, I would ask anybody to think about, when you're talking about the fears of what could happen, what's the great thing that could happen too?
So I have a quote from your book, Tama, I want to read because it's addressing this. When you really want to go beyond fear, it is not about force, platitudes, or manufactured behavior. That kind of impatience just leads to making pain. True freedom is a conscious, everyday spiritual adventure. It's a reinvention. It's a wholly new relationship with yourself. And like with that story, it sounds like your client had to get to that place of, okay, I'm just going to have this be an adventure and see what happens. And
absolutely.
And what I firmly believe is that it is about developing, like you were saying earlier, being self-compassionate. It is about developing a deeper relationship within yourself, because I really believe that to live an inspired life, to live a fulfilling, happy life, you have to work from the inside out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, my best story of that, why I'm so passionate about this is, one of my main messages in my work, and that I'm forever learning and living, is that you can't plan an inspired life.
No, you can't. Can you?
Plan an inspired life.
You can't
your
plan
mind
a happy
is
life either.
Right, exactly. You can't plan a happy life. You can't figure this out. You can't put a graph around it or do a Venn diagram. It's really learning, like you said, that inside, learning to listen. And when I first started writing my first book, it took me 12 years to write that book. I had no idea it would take that long.
Wow.
And I didn't have an agent, and I didn't have a contract, and I didn't have a publisher, but I was following this inner voice. I was following this dream and doing like all the self-help books tell you, follow your bliss. And so, that whole time I was dealing with, am I crazy? Am I just a nut? Am I grandiose? Am I, whatever? What if this doesn't go anywhere? And then the other inner voice that was saying, I think I'm meant to do this. I just think I'm meant to do this. And when I finally self-published the book, which was a terrifying risk to put my own money into it and put it out there, and I didn't know anything about marketing or whatever, 4 months after I self-published, I got an email out of the blue that said, your fairy godmother has arrived. And you get an email like that, I thought it was going to be spam.
Right.
I thought it was going to be, Russian girls are waiting for you, or, just something crazy, right?
Yeah.
But it was an email from a vice president of marketing and publicity for Random House.
Oh, my gosh.
And I know. And she was in some career meltdown, and she wrote to me and said, this is the best book I have ever read on finding your calling and finding your dream. I want to get it to a major New York house, which to me was like saying, I want to help you meet God.
Yeah.
And she got it to the publisher I'd always dreamed of, which was Tarcher, part of Penguin. She got it to them, and they bought the book. And they bought the book exactly the way it was. I mean, I changed 10 sentences out of all of the writing. They kept the exact title. They kept my design. As an unknown author,
That's
I would
huge.
never have started off that way, ever, if I had done it a conventional way. But that's what I mean when I say you can't plan an inspired life. How can you plan, I'm going to have a meltdown for 12 years. Some other woman's going to have a meltdown at the end of 12 years. We're going to hook up, and that's my business plan, So
Right.
Everybody's got that plan, though. Everybody's got that genius, and it's the listening. I want to know what everyone would create if they were listening.
Well, and it's interesting, too, because there's this place in the work that I've been doing and when I'm coaching clients of finding that organic place within yourself, and again, this is what you've been talking about, of getting out of the head game,
Yeah.
getting out of the planning, and
Yeah.
really live from a more organic place. And our culture, we've not been trained or raised that way, and certainly all the advertising and marketing, it's always about you got to figure things out.
Yes, exactly. If you're not planning, if you're not planning of whatever, you're planning
your
to fail,
401k retirement thing, then you're screwed. Well, hello. Maybe not.
Maybe not. Or when my clients are talking to me about the health benefits, it's like, I'd rather you have health.
Right.
I'm just saying. But absolutely, I deeply know that this is a practical, pragmatic path. It is the most practical thing I've ever done with my life, is to start listening and start trusting my own way, because, and I've seen it with my clients, like magical, amazing stuff happens. And it doesn't mean you're not doubting it and you're not scared. And, I work with a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of visionaries, a lot of thought leaders and, a lot of business people. And, and it takes so much guts and courage to decide to listen to your own inner brilliance rather than the media, rather than conventionality, rather than statistics. But, let's be statistics. Let's be the new media. Let's be the new voices. Let's be something else in this world, because I deeply know that each of us has that power and strength, and I think that's what we're here for.
Tama, I so agree with you. I'm talking to Tama Kieves, Year Without Fear. You're listening to Living Your Inspired Life. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Living Your Inspired Life. I'm Susan Burrell, and today I'm talking with the author of a new book that's a daily practice, daily mind shifts, and it's called A Year Without Fear. And I'm talking to Tama Kieves. And Tama, I want to read a quote from your book that is about when moving beyond fear, if you will allow me that.
Sure, I love it.
So you say, when you really want to go beyond fear, it's not about force or platitudes or we've already read that.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what I want to read.
But you liked it a lot.
I did like it because I liked about going beyond fear. This is what I want to read. It is in the foreword of your book. And the way you write, I just love it because you're talking to me all the time. You said, I want you to leave behind the situation that squats on your spirit like a sumo wrestler. I love that. I want you to eat better, drink less, or whatever nourishes and respects your precious body. I want you to take that vacation in Italy, take your company public, or sprawl out in your own backyard paradise in Poughkeepsie drinking lemonade and watching Blue Jays on a Thursday. I want you to hit the note you came to sing, because life is set up for you to do that. I want you to know the presence of a strength not of this world. Just even reading that out loud, I can just feel that energy of inspiration moving through my body. And I love the idea that it's the way you write, that it's not about here's the way you have to do it and you have to do it my way and otherwise it won't work. You create such an expanded space for people to explore what will work for them. And there's for me, there's in reading all of this is a sense of permission to allow myself to be in a fluidity of life, that there will be days where I just want to lay in the backyard and look at the sky, and there will be days when I am going to put my nose to the grindstone and do something bigger.
Yes.
And I love the permission about that.
Mm-hmm. You definitely picked up on a big theme of what this book is about and what all of my work is about, because so many times we are driving ourselves so hard, or we're so ambitious, or we're so type A, or we think we have to do it now, or like you said, there's all these experts that are telling us, here's my 8 easy steps, and here's what you have to do, and here's the program. And I'm a deep, deep believer that the program's already in you. I am a deep, deep believer that every person really has their own way to what's right for them. And that doesn't mean we won't use different experts, that we won't use different things that serve us or help us. But I'm so interested in finding out what your intelligence is saying, what your heart is saying right now, what's guiding you right now, and learning how to listen to that presence. So with permission, for me, my second book was called Inspired and Unstoppable, Wildly Succeeding in Your Life's Work. And when I came up with that, it was because what I noticed with so many entrepreneurs and so many people trying to take their work to the next level or find what they really wanted to do was that there would be days they'd be really excited and on fire and really clear and like, oh my God, this is it, I know it. And then there would be days where they'd be freaked out, like, oh my God, I don't feel the connection. I don't feel connected in life. I don't know what I'm doing. And when I wrote Inspired and Unstoppable, and it's the same theme in A Year Without Fear, is that I just wanted you to know that that's normal, that that's the path, that I don't know anybody who's on the path and they're on fire 24/7.
Yeah.
I think we all want to be, but I really believe that we go in and out of it and in and out of it. And so what I want to do in all my work is to be that presence that keeps you going, keeps you staying inspired and unstoppable. Because when you're inspired, you are unstoppable. You are connected. You do have fire. You do have juice. You do have your creativity. You do have resources. But most of us aren't inspired all the time, and we do enter fear, and we do enter disconnection. And so I just wanted to give people tools and techniques and tips and the knowledge that that's the journey, that this is the most courageous journey you will ever do, is to stay with your dreams, to stay with what's true for you, and to keep taking those steps.
Well, and your website, which is Tama, Tama Kieves, KIEVES.com. On your website, you have opportunity for people to do workshops with you as well as coaching, yeah?
Absolutely. I do retreats all over the country. I do workshops all over the country. And also, if you go to the website, tamakieves.com, you can download a free Inspired Power Toolkit.
Oh, what's that?
Yeah. I just wanted people to have a taste of that, of just some of my best techniques, I just give some of the best techniques that I've used as a coach, of just as a little gift to people to really start getting them inspired and just to help them coach themselves, because not everybody can get to a workshop or not everybody can hire a coach. So I just wanted them to have some support and tools right away. So if you go to tamakieves.com, you can download the Inspired Power Toolkit. And then you'd also get I do a newsletter that comes out once a month, and it's an article every month that I write that keeps you focused. And a lot of times it's based on my own personal journey of doing this, and a lot of times it's based on work I'm doing with my clients, like common questions that come up. But it's been passed around the world, and we have a global family of individuals who are doing this work, who want to live in inspiration more than fear, who want to bring their gifts into the world, whatever that looks like. And so I think it's so important to stay supported.
Well, and one of the other things I saw on your website is that you're blogging, and I loved what you put today. And I'm going to read that too, Tama, because I was like, this woman is in alignment with who I am, and I love it. This is what you said, at least today. The times are calling for new problem solvers, which is what we were talking about the first half of the show. Mm-hmm. Deep divers and ambassadors of invention. The times are calling for you to live your calling in a way that is so organic to you, you wouldn't have believed it was possible. This is what is taking the world by storm. You will find unexpected support now for the things that support your soul. The times are calling for your wild forces. I love that, Tama.
Yeah,
because I believe it's true. It is about us becoming problem solvers in a whole different way, and really going deep within ourselves to finding out what it is we truly want to express in the world and see become manifested.
Absolutely. And I think that, sometimes it's our deepest problems or our deepest pain that gets us there. Again, everybody thinks it's about following your bliss, and it is about following your bliss, and it is about following your joy, and it is about following what lights you up and makes you happy and makes you feel real to yourself. But many people get there, ironically, through pain,
Yeah.
of like, going through a horrible divorce, or, or dealing with an illness, or having a financial thing, or depression, or whatever it is, and thinking to themselves, I never want somebody else to feel this. Here's the things I've learned on this path that I'm not seeing out there. And I never want anybody else to walk through what I'm walking through. And so they create something else, And so I think some of the greatest leaders in our world have come from that. Carl Jung, a famous psychologist, said that where you're wounded, you're gifted. Where you're wounded, you're gifted, because it's that kind of thing. I run around the country now, and all I ever do is speak on how I messed up my career. I chose the wrong career. I was miserable, and so like my whole livelihood is that, like just telling people how I messed up my career, and then how I found my calling and my real dream and my real desire, and it was that kind of pain. And also the reason I wrote my books, which is, classic for many authors, I think, but the reason I wrote my books is because I couldn't find what I needed out there. Like when I was looking for a book to help me, and I was looking for a resource to help me, I couldn't find what I needed, like the voice I needed, or the kind of encouragement I needed. And so I realized that, I need this, so maybe somebody else needs this. And I literally wrote my books, all of them, to heal me. I really did. I wrote them to heal me, and they did, and they do. And writing to myself really helps me. And thank God there's like a whole world that, also resonates. So I'm very grateful for that. But again, I think each of us is a divine problem solver. I think each of us has different gifts to bring to this world, and different gifts to bring. And sometimes it's your challenges or your problems that bring that to the surface.
So I want to speak a bit about that, Tama, because I work out with a trainer, right? And the trainer's like, no pain, no gain. And there is something about that phrase that does not work for me. It has never worked for me. It rings false within my being. No pain, no gain. And I think and certainly, when you're talking about all the life challenges, I'm raising my hand here in the studio going, yep, got that one. Yep, did that. Oh God, that was horrible. Blah. But, and I know in my life, I'm similar to you. I've learned most because of the stuff that I've gone through in my life, and where I've had to heal myself, and then I'm able to coach people. But what if, I just want to pose this as a what if into the new paradigm that is being birthed on the planet, and we are defining and refining. What if that no pain, no gain idea could shift?
I 100% agree with you.
I don't know what the new phrase would be, but it seems to me it's also this. It's a deeper ideology.
One of my clients actually, my clients has the phrase, "No pain, no pain."
Hey, I like that better.
I like that too. Like no pain, no pain, no pain. And I agree with you, because I do not think this is about just seeking that if it's painful, it's right. That like, hey, just buck up if it's painful, blah, blah, blah. I think, though, the corollary to it, of course, is that when we are pursuing a dream or a calling, or we're getting into shape, or we're, changing something in our lives, we are going to hit some kind of resistance or frustration, or even physical pain if it's working out, which is why I avoid that as much as possible. But I think, kind of what I did in A Year Without Fear is that, I tell you, you're going to face challenges in life, or pain or whatever, but the real pain in life is not what's going on. The real pain in life is what you think about what's going on, right? The real pain isn't so much the thing, it's the interpretation of the thing, or what you're making it mean. So I take yoga, and that's really painful for me sometimes. I'm not good at this, but I've now redefined that. Like that pain, like I want that because it's in the service of something I want. Or as a writer, there are a lot of times where it's frustrating or it's painful or I can't come up with something, but it's in the service of something larger I want. So realistically, even though that there may be pain in it, to me, it's surrounded with such meaning and purpose. I don't feel that pain. I feel this is in the service of something bigger I want. Real pain to me is when I'm in something that I don't want, and I'm just going along with the program and I have to suffer. That's real pain. So sometimes the way that we shift pain or we shift fear is that we realize, like if you're raising a child, you'll do anything for your child, and it's not painful because it's what you're going to do, So I think it's just the meaning we give things.
Well, and in your book, A Year Without Fear, you talk about that you stand on 3 tenets. That the first one is everything is either love or fear, which we talked about in the first half, and the other one is stay in the present moment. But the last one I liked because there is another way to see everything, and I think that it really is the truth, and we forget that if we can shift our perception just even 1% to a new perception, we can see the entire situation as less painful or more informative or that it's just resistance and it doesn't have to be mental and emotional or physical pain.
Exactly. And that every time you're seeing something or experiencing something that's bringing you pain or fear, there is another way to experience it. And it's not Pollyanna, and it's not making yourself think something positive when you don't. But, like one of the examples I often use is when I met my partner many, many years ago. He and I were walking and talking, and I'm babbling away, being me, blah, 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 and he's really quiet. And so I went into all this fear of, oh, my God, he hates me. Like, oh, my God, I am boring this man into a stupor. Like, oh, my God, And then, of course, I go into all my past, like, oh, my God, every other person I ever dated, I was too much for them, or I'm too intense, or, all the junk we tell ourselves. So I was going into fear. Thank God in that moment I had the presence of mind to ask him, hey, I've noticed that you're kind of quiet, are you okay, or whatever, And then he was really honest and said, well, to be honest with you, I'm nervous. You're really lovely, and you're an attractive woman, and, you're intelligent, and I'm a little nervous. And so all of a sudden I saw that situation completely different, right? Like I wasn't thinking, oh, God, I'm horrible and he hates me. Now all of a sudden it's like, oh, my God, he likes me. That's why he's quiet. And then, of course, I thought, oh, my God, what a brilliant man. what an insightful being. Oh, this man is brilliant. So that's a good example of, the fact of the situation was that he was just being quiet. The interpretation was what we make it mean, right? Like I'm interpreting he hates me, and what it really was is he liked me. And so that's going on all the time. And we're always interpreting things.
And that's an important illustration of, in some ways, facing your smaller fears or your larger fears by asking the question.
Yes.
What's going on with you, or what is it that I want out of this situation? If I'm feeling fearful, what is it that's causing me to feel fearful, and what is it that I would want to shift about that so that the fear can drop away?
Yes, exactly. And it's the willingness to, know that even though I see reality a certain way, I see my boss as a jerk, or I see my sister-in-law as controlling, or whatever junk we all have, of even though I see my situation a certain way and I'm locked into that opinion, it's the willingness to explore, maybe there's another way to see this. And the reason we do it is because I don't like how the other way feels. I'm not enjoying the feeling of thinking my boss is a jerk. I'm not enjoying the feeling of hating a sister-in-law. If I don't feel good, maybe I want to, for my own sanity, nothing to do with them even, maybe for my own sanity, I want to start looking at, is there another way to say this? Is there another way to experience this? And so in A Year Without Fear, that's kind of, one of the other tenets I kind of guide you through, of just how do you shift that perspective in a way that's true and real for you, that's not fake.
Right. And what I'm also hearing you say is that that if there is a place of fear, that's the opportunity to what am I trying to say here? When I'm in a place of fear, it actually can be an opportunity for me to look again.
Yes.
As opposed to going, oh my God, Chicken Little, the sky is falling and this is my life forever and blah, 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 blah. But I can go, okay, I'm experiencing this fear.
Were you tapping into my mind?
Yeah, you get the Chicken Little thing.
Started sounding a little bit too much like me now.
But yeah, so this book is such a great daily reminder. I can see that of being reminded, okay, what is it that I want to experience? But also when I'm experiencing the thing I don't want, how can I shift?
Yeah, exactly. Because I just wanted to give people that choice, that you have so many choices in life, and life is not just happening to you, and you are not just trapped in circumstances, that you have so much potential and so many resources, and your mind is so powerful, and it's ruling you whether you think it is or not. It's constantly going on autopilot, and so it's just a way to be more conscious about it. And I love what you said, that if you're feeling the fear, and by the way, when I say the word fear, I don't literally just only mean fear as in terror or apprehension, but the way that I was defining fear is, it could be shame, it could be guilt, it could be anger. It's anything that's not feeling good. Anything that's not your well-being or your love or just feeling good, feeling alive, feeling great. And so when you are feeling fear, it is exactly what you said. It's this chance or this choice to say, you know what, this is in the way of what I really want to feel. This is in the way, so this is my opportunity to choose again. This is my opportunity to look at something and do this differently. And, again, that's a practice for most of us because, what I deeply believe is that your well-being and that your health and your great nature is already there. It's already established. That there really is an inner communication going on at all times between you and your guidance or your inner voice or your love or spirit or whatever you call it. But many times we are blocked by some old thought or some fear. And so if you can release that, you can be constantly inspired.
Yeah. I have another thing I want to read from your book. Again, I just randomly opened it up, and here's what it said to me specifically. Thank you, Tama, for writing specifically to me. And so
had you in mind all the time.
I know you did. I'm so grateful for that. So this is the thing I opened up to. It says, so many times I didn't speak my truth for fear of being judged. Hello. But by holding back, I lost the chance for understanding, connection, and expansion. That's big to me. Always express your truth and desire. Some may judge you, but there are others who will receive you and make you feel as though you are standing in the sun. You will have your people. And the affirmation is, today I share my truth with others because I want the chance to connect and expand. And I just got to share with you that there have been so many times in my past, fortunately not in my present, but in my past, where I just wouldn't say what I was feeling or thinking or speak my truth out for fear of reaction or for fear of appearing, like we were saying earlier, appearing stupid or inexperienced or naive or whatever. And the practice of speaking your truth out is huge. And what you tapped on into in that little paragraph is that when we speak our truth, when we face that fear that keeps us small, when we speak our truth out loud to someone or to a group of people, it does cause expansion and it does cause connection and it does cause an opportunity to be heard and understood.
Yes.
All of those things.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. And, all of us are so many times in so many ways denying ourselves that chance. You never know who's going to hear you or connect with you. And again, I do believe you will have your people. You will have your people. Is my guts encouraged to write my first book, This Time I Dance, and to write it for 12 years, and to just my courage in that, to write it and to put it in the world, to publish it myself, print it, just get it out there some way, somehow. And then somebody connected with it, that editor that connected with it and got it to the publisher. It's like you're giving yourself the chance for people to find you and discover you. yeah, you're also giving yourself the chance for people to judge you, certain people, but they're not your people. Focus on the ones who are, because there will be others, and your voice is needed. Like what you have to say, you're going to be one more voice that's needed in this world, and you're going to make it safer for somebody else to speak up and somebody else to speak up and somebody else to share. Something that's been amazing to me in all the books that I've written, I get, emails from different states and different countries, and it's mind-blowing. I mean, the first time anybody ever wrote to me that wasn't a friend or family, I didn't know this person and they lived in Iowa, and I'd never been in Iowa. They don't have to be nice to me in Iowa. It was just amazing to me to think something I'm writing from the depths of my being, someone I don't even know is connecting with, and that's helping them. So we all have the opportunity to serve and to help other people and to guide other people, and I think we do it by speaking our truth.
Yeah, and I just want to tap on that a little bit more, because for people that are listening, if you're in a job situation where there is opportunity to collaborate or to share what it is you're thinking or feeling in a way that is life affirming, not in a way that's diminishing of another human being, but that in the workshops and circles that I lead, oftentimes there is somebody that has the similar truth going on. And so to have the courage to speak your truth in whatever group you may be in, you're, like you were saying, you're going to be setting other individuals in that group free to then express what they're thinking as well.
Yes, and that's such an amazing feeling, because everybody's holding back scared, and they're waiting for someone else to say it.
Right.
And then you say it, and they're so grateful you said it, and then all of a sudden you don't feel that alone. All of a sudden you start realizing, wait a second, there's people who think like me and want what I want, and maybe together we're stronger. So I love your story, Susan, and I love that now you're putting your voice out there on the airwaves, which is awesome.
Well, we've been here for a while, so the other thing, do you have another book in the background that's moving into expression?
Nothing. This one just came out, so I'm just kind of
You're taking a break.
I got 3 out there, and I'm just kind of traveling around now, speaking about this, and just my books find me.
I get
I'm just
that.
kind of feeling out what's next.
I get that. Tama Kieves, A Year Without Fear. The other books are This Time I Dance, Creating the Work You Love. Love that title. And the other one is Inspired and Unstoppable, Wildly Succeeding in Your Life's Work. And your website, tamakieves.com. I'm telling you guys, you got to go to her website, because it's got tons of resources to use. And there's some audio pops that you have there that are helpful.
Yep. Yeah, there's this phenomenal program that I developed around A Year Without Fear, where you can buy a program on my website where I read it to you. I read the 5-minute quote to you in the day, but then I also do like a guided meditation, a relaxation exercise around that to get you in touch with what your thoughts or soul is saying about it at that time. So people have been loving that, because it just helps them integrate it a little bit more and take that everything I'm trying to do is just trying to connect you to what's my inner voice saying, what's my inspiration right now, to get you out of your mind, that crazy, fierce mind, and to really start listening to your heart, and to your love, and to your crazy ideas and your impulses and your whispers, because everybody's got such great instincts, and I just want them finding it. The other thing I'll just mention very briefly is I'm also on Facebook every day and on Twitter every day. So, LinkedIn, it's a nice way of staying in touch with, we've created a global community of people who are wanting to live in inspiration instead of fear, and to do this kind of work. And so if you want to connect with other people, or I put out a quote every single day to keep you inspired, even just on Facebook. So it's another way to connect. But the website's the resource for everything. And we have a lot of free stuff to download.
I think that's so fabulous. Tama, thank you for joining us today on Living Your Inspired Life. What a pleasure and a gift to connect with you and just hear the work that you're doing. And I support you. I'm giving you props here in the studio. Just can you feel that? Yeah. And,
Thank you.
And so we'll have to have you back.
It's a great example of you will have your people, right?
That's right.
You know, I didn't know you, and it's like I immediately feel this kinship. I immediately feel this, like, oh my God, we're, of just that. And I'm always excited to meet other people who are living their calling and doing the work they're meant to do. And I'm so grateful that you're out there sharing these messages and being the resource that you are. And I'm grateful for your courage in doing that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Tama Kieves, A Year Without Fear. Get the book. It is fantastic. And you've been listening to Living Your Inspired Life. And I'm just going to end with, and so it is, namaste.